Okay, this is a sequence that's excellent to warm up for any practice, or can even be a mini practice for many people, just to get started at the beginning of your day. You'll need a few little things, probably, a blanket. Let me grab mine. A great prop is a rolled up mat. If you have like an extra old yoga mat, you can roll this up in thirds lengthwise and then roll it end to end. So you just kind of, flip it once, flip it twice, and then roll it up end to end and then secure it. I've got this secured with elastics, but you can use duct tape or something like that. Another prop to use in this sequence would be a block or two, and I recommend if you can get your hands on a heavier cork block, these are really, really good. And then the foam block is also good. I do like the wider width blocks, but you can use like 2 thinner blocks if you like, or your thin block is totally fine too, right? We're not going to be doing anything too intense in these warm-up movements. They're not just warm-up movements, they're actually really good practices to begin to open up the low back, the hips, and therefore the shoulders, because these are very connected. Shoulder girdle and hip girdle connected by your spine. Like what's going on here affects here, and vice versa. So these are really excellent practices, like I said, to just do, to just access your breath. So nice slow moving practices that can transform any kind of exercise that you're doing. Speaking of that, no matter the fact that these are simple and very slow moving, I always recommend that you get the green light from a physician if you need that. If you can get the go ahead from a physician if that's necessary for you. That's really par for the course with any exercise program. So that being said, these are some of those great basic moves to just, again, really begin to educate and create a different kind of intelligence in the body. We'll start laying down and come onto the back. You can let the legs just rest, feet on the floor, knees bent. And take the hands to the front of the thighs and let the elbows and upper arms rest on the floor. And just take a moment to feel the position of the body on the floor. You can also do this on your bed. So let the shoulders relax. And take 3 big breaths in that fill up the entire torso. Breath continue to be the focus point for every single movement, even though these again are very light and subtle movements. So you can take the hands on the thighs in order to create a little more access. A lot of people cannot. This is a very, very subtle movement. It's just a simple shimmying of the thigh bones. And many people do this and they shake their foot in order to get their whole leg moving. But in this, you actually want the thigh bones to do the moving, the lower leg, the calf, and the foot to do less movement. And you just kind of shake, and let the bones settle into the floor. Continue to work with the breath. Feel the thigh bones where they drop into the hip sockets. Feel for that connection. A more advanced version of this would be to pick up the feet and let the lower legs kind of dangle off the knees. And again, just kind of shimmy and shake the thigh bones. You can even use your arms to start to initiate the movement, but then eventually let whatever action is going with the arms are creating, whatever action the arms are creating, let that go and let the thigh bones kind of do the work. Even if it's not a lot of movement, just let them kind of shimmy and shake waking up the lower buttocks and the thigh bones, the thigh muscles, backs of the thighs. And to stabilize this, feel for pulling the low belly back and really pushing the low back against the floor. So now you really are, with that movement, able to isolate the legs. And then let that go. Let the feet roll, let feet come gently down to the floor. Now there's 3 different stages to doing the next movement, which I don't really have a name for it. It's just, I just call it like rolling. It's just rolling essentially. So it's kind of like a very loose spinal twist if you think about it. But again, working with the breath and with the feet on the floor, we're just going to roll on the edges of the feet. All right. And then we'll make the movement a little more broad, still keeping the low back pressed down into the floor. Bring the arms into like a loose cactus on either side of the body. And then let the knees relax, let the bigger movements of the legs relax, and take a deep breath in. Push the low back into the floor. And then as you exhale, let the knees just drop with gravity over to one side. Inhale. Pick the top knee up. And then eventually the bottom knee begins to follow along with very little effort by you. And just roll to the other side. The low back anchored to the floor by pulling the low belly in slightly, and inhale, lift the top knee, and then the bottom knee rolls along to the side. Inhale, keeping that low back on the ground, lift the top knee, and roll to the opposite side. Inhale, lift the top knee. And then exhale to one side. Inhale, the top knee. Exhale over to the other side. Voila. All right. So the next move would be to come into a bent knee position with the feet off the floor. So if your low back is, and you're able to really engage and keep the low back on the floor and feeling secure, so that pain or any torquing of the very sensitive area for most of us, this second stage is good for you. Otherwise, stay with the feet on the floor and do as many as we're doing here, but keep your feet on the floor. So take a deep breath in, and then exhale, let the one knee, again, just drop over to the side. And it's a little easier to move all the way over with the feet off the floor, just so you know. If you can't do that with your feet on the floor, it's no wonder. Inhale. Keep the low back reaching down into the floor as you move from side to side. This is almost like a swimming motion, right? You're kind of swimming and floating. You're not much of a swimmer. That may not be the most settling and comforting imagination for you. But it's almost like a baby in the womb. And then again, one more. Pick the leg up. And then gently go to the other side. So really nice movements. They're very fluid once you sort of understand. Just kind of go with it. Let the legs, let the limbs be pulled into gravity. And then let that go. So the next move would be to extend the legs entirely reach the feet up towards the ceiling. And so again, you would need some you don't necessarily have to be super strong in the low back, but you just need to maintain a little engagement. And if your low back is not the best, work with stage one or stage two. Continue to do that. Otherwise, again, let the thighs shake in the hip sockets. I don't know if we did this move in the second stage, but I would definitely do that. Oh, I did it. Just let those thigh muscles relax. Let the muscles actually fall away from the bones. Let the hips feel very heavy and very attached to the floor. Keep the low back pushing down. And you can kind of almost feel the body unwinding. Subtle stretching happening. And that's the connective tissue loosening up. And that's what these practices do. So same move. Inhale, let one leg open out to the side. The top leg will come around. And then inhale just enough momentum to get that top leg lifting. Keep the belly engaged, down into the ground. And then we're moving over to the other side. Same kind of thing, just really fluid movements. And for me, I use the inhale to be my cue to lift the top leg. And then the exhale completes as I come all the way around. And yes, my core is engaged, and my core is actually, kind of the fulcrum here. Or not the fulcrum, kind of like the director of this pinwheeling action that I'm doing. And that's pretty much it. It's not too, intense. So a couple of breath practices you can do are Kapalabhati, staying on the back, and Uddiyana. So Kapalabhati is breath of fire. It's short bursts of air through the nose, the belly pulls back to spine. I'll lift my shirt so you can see. You can keep your hands just resting lightly on the thighs, right at the hip creases, arms relaxed to the floor. Push your feet down into the ground to help lengthen the low back. Take a partial breath in, and it looks like this. And then with every pull back of the belly, you're forcing breath through the nose. There's a passive inhalation that happens, so you don't need to worry about getting starved of breath. If you do, and you start to lose the rhythm, just either do a pace that works for you, do fewer until you get more practiced, or stop and come back to it. And again, maybe relax the pace that you're using. So here we go. I'm going to do 100. You do the number that works for you and your pace. So that was 20. And we're going to I'll finish up the other ones without stopping, but one of the important things to remember here is to really feel for pushing the feet actively into the floor by pushing down through the heels and spreading the toes. Balls of the feet stay on the floor. This action in the feet turns on the legs and supports lengthening the low back and will allow you to actually access and work with the belly more effectively. So we'll do the final 4 rounds of 20, I guess. The final 80 without stopping, all right? Partial breath in and begin. Kapalabhati, and you may have noticed this, was that this really is a low belly, low torso practice. The upper body remains still, so work for that. And you may have noticed mine jumping around a little bit from time to time, and that's fine. You want to definitely work towards that though, keeping the engagement in the low belly. And that's the same with this next breath practice, Uddiyana. Uddiyana, so Kapalabhati means breath of fire, so you might feel a little warm after doing that. And you're working with these fire centers of the body, fire in the belly, right? That's part of our language. And Uddiyana means the belly flies up. So what you do is you're drawing the belly energy up to broaden and open up the rib cage, the front, the sides, and the back. So you'll feel a broadness through here when the belly flies up. It looks like this. The sequence is, take a deep breath in, hold the breath. Exhale through the mouth, pull the belly back to spine, holding the breath out. Let belly muscles go and take a deep breath in. So I'll do it one more time so you can see that, and then we'll work it together. Uddiyana. All right, so let's do it together. We'll do 3 rounds. Deep breath in. Hold the breath. Exhale. Keep the breath out. Pull low belly down. Let belly muscles go. And then you take a deep breath in. Uddiyana. So the nice thing about these videos is that you can rewind it and do, you can come back and do it again. So feel free to definitely do that. And one thing I forgot to say was about, again, engaging through the legs and the feet is so important for any practice, in any part, any pose, all of that stuff. Keeping the feet super grounded and rooted, legs engaged will help you work the entire body in a very integrated fashion. And keep your moves connected. So I didn't say that, but definitely make sure you do that when you continue practicing that breath movement. So that's Uddiyana. So the next thing we'll move to is something called Sidewinder. And this is a great practice for, again, freeing up and opening up the low back. So in Sidewinder, we actually move the upper body. So again, that grounding through the feet is super duper important. Let me show you a couple ways to do it. I like to use, I'm going to use my rolled up mat, but you can use any prop. This is a great prop. If you don't have the yoga mat, I forgot to say, like a rolled up blanket or rolled up old pair of jeans, couple pairs of jeans or something like that, or whatever can work. Pillows, what have you. So a good way to work with this in a stage 1 is to take a block between the feet and place one prop between the thighs. And this will help to stabilize. So in this practice, it's really helpful if you can be on a linoleum, like a tile or a linoleum floor or a hardwood floor or something like that. This is a laminate, whatever. But something that you can slide on, long story short. The hips would stay on some more stable, less non-slip surface, but the back comes onto, whatever that might be behind you. You can bring your arms to a cactus position for this, which I like a lot. Or you can interlace the hands and point the elbows straight up to the ceiling for additional neck support. So stage 1 would be, let's do it in the cactus. Sophia, honey, I'm gonna move you just a little bit. There we go. Stage 1 would be in the cactus. You again activate the feet, squeeze the block, and squeeze the prop between the thighs. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, pull the belly down and just draw the ribs down towards the pelvis. moving the upper body from side to side. Try to stay relaxed in the face, relaxed in the shoulders. Keep the legs engaged. The more engaged you are in the legs, the more freedom you'll have to work in the upper body. So that's stage one. Another option, this is actually a little high up my blanket game. That's better. Okay. So the next option would be to, interlace. You can interlace the hands. You can also do this practice with your, and you can even stay working with the block with your knees bent, with your feet off the floor. Legs are still engaged, active feet, even with the feet off the floor. Take a deep breath in, push the low back into the floor, and move the upper body. It's a little harder to keep the hips not moving, but feel for pushing the low back into the floor to stabilize, 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 stabilize. So that's Sidewinder. It's such a good practice. So the next move would be abs with a prop. So again, you can do this with, we've obviously moved into the abdominal section of the practice. But you can again do these with your props. So a rolled up mat is good, or again, any other prop, or with your block with its short end. So you got a long end and you got a short end. So you want to place it between the thighs like that. You can take that second block, if you do have it, and place it between your feet. Again, you can work in the cactus position. Active feet pushing into the floor so the legs are turned on, helping to lengthen the low back. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Squeeze the props. Exhale out. Give the props another squeeze and pull the low belly down. That's the move. All right, so you stay right here with your arms in cactus position. If you have further to go with this, you can interlace the hands at the base of the skull and lift the shoulders up. So take a deep breath in, no matter where you are. Push the feet into the floor, spread the toes, squeeze the props. Push low back down, and then exhale, lift shoulders up. Squeeze the props again and pull the low belly down. Inhale, lay the shoulders down. Okay, so those are the moves. So let's do a few with the arms in cactus position, feet on the floor. I'll do various stages. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Push low back into the floor. Squeeze the props. Exhale. Pull the low belly down and squeeze the props again. Release. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Push low back into the floor. Exhale, squeeze the props. Pull the low belly down. Inhale, release the squeeze. Hold the breath, push low back into the floor. Exhale. Squeeze the props, pull low belly down. So those are the moves with the arms down. So here we'll do a few with the arms, shoulders up. If you're not doing that though, just stay with your arms in cactus position. Ignore the part where I say, lift your shoulders up. All the moves are the same though. Take a deep breath in. Feet are active. Hold the breath. Push low back into the floor. Exhale, lift shoulders up. Squeeze the props and pull low belly down. Inhale, lower the shoulders. Hold the breath, push low back into the floor. Squeeze the props, active feet. Exhale, lift shoulders up. Squeeze the props again, pull low belly down. Inhale, lay shoulders down. Hold the breath, squeeze the props, push low back into the floor. Exhale, lift shoulders up. Pull low belly down and squeeze the props. Pull low belly down again. Inhale, lay shoulders down. Now you can imagine that, of course, you can do this with the feet off the floor, knees bent. You can lose your prop between your feet if you want, or it's a great up level to do that, right? You can do it with that. You can even extend the legs all the way up to do any of these moves. All right, so that does it for that. Let me show you bridge pose. So here's a great one to use, that cork block, that really dense block. Or
You could use books, or you could even use a paint can. I've demoed that before. So in bridge pose, heels come close to the buttocks, to the outside, just slightly outside the width of the hips. Your fingers can graze your heels. Then relax arms to the sides, palms up. And actually, in this one, I'm going to turn my mat because this really should be done with the shoulders stabilized as well as the hips. So I'm going to just switch things up a little bit so you can see this on the angle and with your body properly supported. Always important, don't do it without. Don't leave home without it. All right, feet are active, toes are spread. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, push the feet down into the floor and lift the pelvis up. And then take your block and place it on whatever is the highest side that's the most comfortable for you. Under the back, under the sacrum particularly, which is the very flat part of your spine just above your tailbone. If it's up in the low back, you'll know it and it won't feel good. Once you're in the pose though, feel for pushing the feet firmly down and pushing the sacrum, pushing that part of your back that's touching the block onto the block. Expand the breath through the entire torso. Feel for letting the block really support the low back. And feel for pushing the feet firmly down. To come out of the pose, inhale, lift the hips up by pushing the feet down. Move the props, and then lower down as you exhale. Continue to tuck the tailbone so the back stays long and the shoulders stay soft. Tuck, 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 till you get all the way down. And there you go. So come up, roll over to one side, push against the floor to come up, and use one hand to pick up your head. So that's like a nice little mini, how long did I take to do that? It's a half an hour practice that you can do anytime you want. And those are all really great moves to work with your breath, work by using your breath to guide your movements, learn some new breath practices, and start to open up and heal your low back, tight hips, tight shoulders, all that good stuff. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Enjoy.